Hello and welcome to this week's video. This week we look at words and phrases used when learning about construction in the city and how it impacts on the people who live and work there. Don't forget to like and subscribe and stay until the end in order to test your knowledge by taking our quiz. Anyway, let's get started with the first term. Our first phrase this week is built structures. So we'll learn to define this phrase as well as pick out an interesting example sentence. But first of all, let's take a look at how to pronounce this in more detail. Built structures. And again, built structures. Fantastic. So let's now move on to learning about the definition of built structures. These are any type of building made of stone, bricks, metal, concrete, or wood. Built structures can be found from cities to the country. Great! So now let's look at an example sentence. The newly built structure was where Tom kept his new car. The garage was attached to his new place of living. Our second phrase this week is demographics shift. Well, we'll learn the definition along with assessing an example sentence containing demographic shift. But first of all, we'll have a look at the pronunciation. Demographics shift. And again, demographics shift. Excellent. So now we can take a look at the definition of demographic shift and learn what this phrase means. This is a change in the types of groups in a population. They can change in terms of having more or fewer people. Interesting. So now let's pick out an example to put in an example sentence. There was a demographic shift towards the end of the 1900s as the oldest group grew larger. The average age became older. The next phrase is vast urban areas. So we'll learn about the definition as well as assess an example sentence including the phrase vast urban areas. But firstly, let's delve into the pronunciation. Vast urban areas. Great. And let's try again. Vast urban areas. Fantastic. Now we can move on to have a look at the definition. These are large areas of housing, workplaces, shops, or factory buildings. These are generally found in the central city or town areas. Interesting. Well, let's now look at an example sentence. London has vast urban areas, which continue to increase. This includes many office areas providing large numbers of jobs. The penultimate word in this week's lesson is redevelopment. Well, we'll firstly have a look at the definition and then an example sentence. But before all of that, we'll take a look at how to pronounce redevelopment. Re-dev-el-op-ment. Great. And let's try again. Re-dev-el-op-ment. Fantastic. Well, now let's take a look at the definition of redevelopment. This is the way in which we rebuild or reproduce an older building into a more modern building. Well, now let's take a look at a sentence which we can use the word redevelopment in. The old industrial area was demolished or knocked down, and redevelopment began on producing modern apartments. Our final phrase this week is dense city centres. So we'll take a look at the definition to understand this phrase, and also have a look at an example sentence in order for us to find out how we use this in everyday conversation. But first, let's take a look at the pronunciation in a little more detail. Dense city centres. Great. And let's try again. Dense city centres. Fantastic. So now we can move on to assess the definition. City centres with many tall buildings tightly placed together. This also leads to lots of people living in a small area. Fantastic. So now let's have a look at an example sentence. The dense city centre means London has 4,542 people per square kilometre, as opposed to the UK average of only 274. Now it is time to test your knowledge with our weekly quiz to see how much of today's lesson you can remember. We will ask you 3 questions on the vocabulary we have learnt in this video. Question number 1. What is another name for a city or town area? Would it be A, council areas, B, rural areas, or C, urban areas? And the correct answer for question 1 is C, urban areas. Question number 2. What is redevelopment? Is it A, building buildings after knocking down others? Is it B, building buildings on land in the countryside? Or C, extending existing buildings? And the correct answer for question 2 is A, building buildings after knocking down others. Question number 3. In which area would you find the highest population density? Would it be A, in the city centres, B, in the suburbs, or C, in the countryside? And the correct answer for question 3 is A, city centres. Let us know in the comments how you did in this week's quiz, and congratulations if you got all 3 questions correct. Thank you for joining us again today. If you have any questions about this video, or would like us to explain a term for you from any context, then please post your question in the comments box below. We are always happy to help. Don't forget to like our video to help us gain more viewers and to expand our channel in order to provide you an even better experience. Why not press the subscribe button and bell notification icon so you will never miss any of our future videos. Next week we will be looking at words and phrases related to planets. Anyway, thank you for joining us again this week, and we'll see you again next week. Goodbye.